Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. So for today, we will discuss working capital management, our third topic under management advisory services. So sir, bakit working capital management ang sunod mong diniscuss? Actually, ang pinagbasihan ko would be your comments and then personal messages na binigay niyo sa akin suggesting na ito muna ang unahin natin. So wag na natin patagalin, let us discuss working capital management. Actually, mahaba itong topic na to. So what we will do to properly understand this topic, hahatiin natin siya into 5 presentations. The first presentation, which is ito, the basic concepts, then we will discuss your cash and marketable securities management, then we will proceed to receivables management, then after that, inventory management, at yung panglima would be your cost of short-term financing. So kung titignan mo, based from that, ang flow ng ating discussion would start from the basic concept. Then after the basic concept, i-discuss natin yung management ng current assets, your cash, marketable securities, AR, and inventory. Then afterwards, ma-discuss yung management of current assets, we will proceed to the management of current liabilities. And actually, ang main concern mo sa current liabilities, would be their cost. Okay, so kung titignan natin, ganoon yung magiging flow natin. Kasi pag sinabing working capital, that is current assets minus current liabilities. Okay, so for this presentation, MS3, Working Capital Management Basic Concepts, ang topic outline natin would be number 1, we will discuss what is working capital management. Number 2, we will discuss operating cycle and cash conversion cycle. Number 3, we will discuss working capital policy. And actually, ang working capital policy, hahatiin pa natin into 2. Nandyan ang working capital investment policy and then working capital financing policy. And then the fourth subtopic or the fourth topic under our topic outline would be relevant costs in relation to investments in current assets. Okay, so let us start. Sir, what is working capital management? Working capital management is defined as the management of current assets and current liabilities. And I think that is no-brainer. Okay, understandable yan. Kasi pag sinabing working capital, current assets minus current liabilities yon. Pero what is more important is the second part of the definition. And that is working capital management strives to achieve a balance between profitability and risk that contributes positively to the firm's value. I would like to reiterate or I would like to highlight the word balance between profitability and risk. Kasi yung statement na yan generally explains that working capital management is all about risk and return trade-off. And when we say risk and return trade-off, generally, the higher the risk, the higher the return. Kaya kapag pinlat mo ang risk and return sa Cartesian plane, being the return on the y-axis and then risk on the x-axis, kung titinan natin, magi-start sa origin yan, pataas. Kasi habang tumataas ang risk, tumataas yung y-axis which is return. At kung titinan natin, pag ginraph yan, ang graph niya ay upward sloping, pataas. Kaya naman, because of that, we can say the yield curve is upward sloping. Sir, medyo malabo pa rin pero palagi mong tatandaan, dyan lang iikot ang working capital management. It is all about the risk and return trade-off. The goal of working capital management is to achieve a balance between profitability and risk. And in order for us to understand that, okay, always remember that current assets are the least profitable assets of the company. Always remember that. Kumbaga, between current assets and non-current assets, mas kumikita ang non-current assets. Kasi generally, ang benefit na binibigay ng non-current assets ay long-term. Kaya nga non-current assets yan Ang kanilang benefit extends for more than 1 year. So, ibig sabihin, if you will invest in current assets, generally, it will yield a lower amount of profit. At dahil mababa ang profit, mababa ang return, definitely, mababa rin ang risk. The lower the return, the lower the risk. Pero sir, ano yung risk na tinutukoy ng definition? The lower the return, the lower the risk, gets ko yan, sir. Galing yan sa diniscuss mo kanina na risk and return trade-off. Pero ano yung risk na tinutukoy? Ang risk na tinutukoy natin would be default risk. And when we say default risk, it is the risk that the company cannot pay its maturing obligation. Kaya nga tinawag na default risk. Kapag di ka nakapagbayad ng utang, you are at a default. So pag sinabing default risk, ito yung risk na hindi ka makakapagbayad ng utang. And that is understandable. Kaya mababa ang default risk, mababa ang risk na hindi ka makakapagbayad kasi meron kang pambayad. Ang pambayad mo would be your investment in working capital or investment in current assets. Kasi pag mas marami kang current assets, you are considered liquid. I think when we say liquid or liquidity means the ability of a company to pay its currently maturing obligation. At para maging liquid ka, kailangan mas malaki ang current assets mo kaysa sa current liability. So, ibig sabihin, based from that, we can say that investment in working capital has given the company a greater liquidity, and therefore we can conclude that profitability is inversely related to liquidity. Kasi kung titingnan natin, pag nag-invest ka sa current asset, mababa ang return, mababa ang risk. Kaya pala mababa ang risk kasi liquid ka, marami kang current asset. At kung ikaw ay liquid, generally you are not that profitable because your investment is more on the current asset side rather than the non-current asset side. Kaya nga, hindi pwedeng ilagay mo lahat ng pera mo sa current asset. Kasi sir, naku, ayoko silang hindi nakapagbayad ng utang eh. So lahat ng pera ko i-invest ko sa current asset. Nako, it is a big no-no. Kasi yes, mataas nga ang liquidity mo, hindi ka naman ganun kumikita. Ay sir, mukha akong pera, kailangan kong kumita, ilalagay ko lahat ng pera ko sa non-current asset. Hindi rin pwede yon. Kasi ang non-current asset hindi kayang mabenta in the near future, hindi kayang ibenta yan ng mabilisan. So basically, it is not yet readily convertible into cash. Magkakaproblema ka sa liquidity mo. Hindi naman lahat ng tao tumatanggap ng non-current asset as a mode of payment. So ibig sabihin, pag nag-invest ka sa non-current asset, you are not that liquid. So kung titingnan mo, that is the dilemma of every company. Saan ko ba ilalagay ang pera ko? Sa current asset o sa non-current asset? Pag sa current asset, liquid ako, hindi ako profitable. Gaano? Pag nilagay ko sa non-current asset, profitable ako, pero hindi naman ako liquid. So that is the dilemma. And again, ano ang sinasabi ng working capital management? Everything should be in balance. Kailangan balance. Kaya nga, di ba, the goal of working capital management is what? To achieve a balance between profitability and risk. So, dyan lang iikot ang ating discussion. And as we can see, and I hope naintindihan yung gustong i-point out ng definition ng working capital management. Na nagsimula tayo sa risk and return trade-off and then nirelate natin siya doon sa nature ng current asset with regards to their profitability. Okay, so next. Let us discuss operating cycle and cash conversion cycle. Operating cycle is the length of time between purchasing an inventory, selling it, and receiving cash from the sale of those inventories. Kaya tinawag na operating cycle ang operating cycle because generally it represents the operations of a business. Assuming merchandising business ka, ano ba ang nature of operations mo? Diba ang nature of operations mo ay buy and sell. So, ibig sabihin, you will purchase inventories, then later on, you will sell it. Pero syempre, hindi naman pwedeng basta bili, benta ka lang. Lalo na kung lahat ng benta mo utang. Naku, you need cash because cash is the fuel of every operation. Kaya after mong ibenta siya on credit o pinautang mo, later on, you need to collect it. Kaya tinawag siyang operating cycle. Basically, it represents the operation of the business that will start from the moment you purchase an inventory until the time na makolekta mo yung cash from the sale of those inventory. At kung titignan natin, the length of time between purchasing an inventory and selling an inventory is known as days inventory or average conversion, or in other books, ang ibang tawag sa kanya, average sale period. Pag sinabi nating average conversion period or average sale period, it is the length of time between purchasing an inventory, again, and selling it to your customers. Kaya tinawag siyang average conversion period. Kasi from inventory, kino-convert mo siya into another asset. For example, kapag ang inventory ibinenta mo on cash basis, from inventory magiging cash siya. Pag binenta mo naman siya on account or on credit basis, from inventory magiging accounts receivable siya. Kaya tinawag siyang average conversion period. Kasi you are converting inventories into another asset. Next, ano naman sir ang tawag sa number of days between selling an inventory and collecting cash from those sale? That is known as the days accounts receivable or average collection period. Kaya siya tinawag na average collection period. Gaano ka ba katagal makakolekta ng inventory? Ang average sale period, gaano ka katagal makabenta ng inventory. Kaya pag pinagsama yung dalawang yan, that is known as operating cycle. Operating cycle is days inventory plus days AR. Okay? Next, let us proceed and differentiate operating cycle to cash conversion cycle. Cash conversion cycle is the length of time between paying for working capital or paying for inventories and collecting cash from the sale of inventory. Kung titignan mo, magkaiba ng starting point ang operating cycle sa cash conversion cycle. Kanina operating cycle, ang starting point niya is from the moment na binili mo yung inventory. Sa cash conversion cycle, ang starting point is from the moment na binayaran mo yung inventory. Pero pareho sila ng end kung titinan mo. Ang parehong ending nila is from the time na nakakolekta ka ng cash. Kaya kung titingnan natin, to understand cash conversion cycle, magsisimula ka pa naman din sa purchase of inventory. Pero, technically speaking, ang starting point talaga ng cash conversion cycle is from the moment na binayaran mo yung purchases mo. Kasi hindi naman lahat ng purchases ay cash purchases. Pwede kang magkaroon ng credit purchases. And after you paid for those inventory, generally, ang ending point ng cash conversion cycle is the time na nakolekta mo na yung cash. Kaya siya tinawag na cash conversion cycle. It starts from a cash transaction and it will end to another cash transaction. Kaya tinawag siyang cash conversion cycle. From one cash transaction to another cash transaction. Ano yung starting point mo? Cash transaction. Pagbabayad ng inventory. Anong ending point mo? Cash transaction ulit. Pagkolekta ng cash from the sale of inventory. So basically, that is your cash conversion cycle. From the moment na nagbayad ka until nakakolekta ka. Sir, anong tawag dun sa length of time between purchasing an inventory and paying for those purchases? That is known as days accounts payable or average payment period. Kumbaga, average payment period represents yung length of time kung gaano ka katagal magbayad ng iyong purchases. Kaya nga, ang cash conversion cycle is computed as operating cycle minus days AP. Sir, bakit bina-minus yung days AP? Kung titignan mo, from purchase of inventories until collecting cash, operating cycle yon. Pero hindi naman sila pareho ng starting point Pansinin mo, anong starting point ng cash conversion cycle? Yung payment. Kaya ibabawas mo yung lumipas na oras mula sa bumili ka ng inventory until nagbayad ka. Kasi ang operating cycle magsisimula from the moment na bumili until makakolekta ng cash. So that would be the formula for your cash conversion cycle. But take note, pag tinanong ka, ano ang magiging basis mo kung magkano ang i-invest sa working capital, ang sagot natin ay cash conversion cycle, hindi operating cycle. Actually, ang operating cycle, ginagamit lang yan for FS presentation. Kung naalala mo sa financial accounting mo, para maging current asset, ang isang trade accounts receivable, it should be collectible within 12 months or operating cycle, whichever is longer. So, ginagamit ang operating cycle basically for FS presentation. Pero pag tinanong ka kung magkano ang gagamitin mo as a basis on investment in working capital, the answer is cash conversion cycle. Kasi po dalawa po ang definition ng cash conversion cycle. The first one, itong kakadiscuss lang natin. The second one is cash conversion cycle represents the length of time the funds are tied up in working capital. Pag tinagalog, nire-represent niya yung haba ng panahon na ang pera nakatali sa working capital. So, ibig sabihin, based from that, or in other words, cash conversion cycle is really the basis kung magkano ang ilalagay mong pera sa working capital. Okay, kaya nga, cash conversion cycle is the basis for how much the company should invest in working capital. To understand that, let me give you a simple illustration. Okay, para maintindihan mo bakit sinabi ng financial management na cash conversion cycle ang basihan kung magkano ang ilalagay na pera sa working capital. Okay, let me give you an illustration. Assuming January 1, okay, bumili ka ng inventories on account 10,000. Then, on January 4, nagbenta ka ng inventories on account. Siyempre, alam na may benta mo ng 10,000 yan. Aba, charity yun. Hindi ka man lang tumubo. Papatungan mo. Kaya, ibibenta mo siya ng 12,500. Next, January 6, paid the purchases on account. Nagbayad ka ng 10,000 na utang mo. Then, on January 10, nakolekta mo yung cash from your sales on account, which is 12,500. O sir, anong pakialam po dyan, sir? Paano ko maiintindihan na cash conversion cycle ang basihan kung ano o magkano ang dapat kong ilagay sa working capital? Take note, this is just hypothetical. Again, this is just hypothetical. Pero sasabihin ko ito para maintindihan mo kung bakit nga ba cash conversion cycle ang basis natin. Assuming na ang natitirang pera mo lang ay 10,000 pesos. Again na, this is just hypothetical. Assuming yung business meron na lang 10,000 pesos. Kung titignan mo, kung meron ka na lang 10,000 pesos, mawawalan ka ng pera kailan? January 6. Tama ba? Ano bang meron ng January 6, sir? Nagbayad ka ng purchases on account. So, ibig sabihin, from January 6 until January 10, assuming, again na, this is just hypothetical. From January 6 to January 10, wala kang pera. At syempre, ang business, hindi makakatakbo ng walang pera. So, anong gagawin mo? You need to invest cash. Ng ilang araw? From January 6 to January 10, that is 4 days. At kung titignan mo, 4 days is your cash conversion cycle. Again, what is cash conversion cycle? Cash conversion cycle is the length of time between paying for purchases. Kailan ka nagbayad? January 6. And collecting cash from sale, which is January 10. So, ilang araw yon? That is 4 days. Sir, hindi ako naniniwala. Ilatag natin gamit yung formula. O sige, para maniwala ka, ilatag natin gamit yung formula. What is the formula of cash conversion cycle? Ang formula is operating cycle minus days AP. Pag in-expand natin yung formula, operating cycle is days inventory plus days AR, then minus days AP. Isa-isahin natin ha. What is days inventory? Days inventory is the length of time between purchasing an inventory and selling it. Kailan mo siya binili? January 1. Kailan mo siya nabenta? January 4. Ibig sabihin, ang days inventory ay 3 days. Next, days AR. Days AR is average collection period, the length of time between selling an inventory and collecting cash from those sales. Kailan mo siya binenta? January 4. Kailan ka nakakolekta? January 10. So, from January 4 until January 10, your days AR is 6 days. Next, naku sir, mapapahiya ka ngayon. Kanina sabi mo 4 days yan, naku pahiya ka, mag-ready ka na sir. Okay, next, days AP. Days AP is average payment period, the length of time between purchasing an inventory and paying for those purchases. Kailan ka bumili? January 1. Kailan ka nagbayad? January 6. So, ilang araw yon? Ang days AP mo ay 5 days. So, pag nilatag natin sa formula yan, cash conversion cycle is 3 days plus 6 days minus 5 days, that is 4 days. Wow! Wow! Parehong-pareho. Kanina, anong computation natin? Anong naging basis natin ng 4 days? Yung definition. From the moment na nagbayad ka until makakolekta ka. From one cash transaction to another cash transaction. Okay, that is your cash conversion cycle. And kanina, paano natin nasabi yung 4 days ang basihan natin? Kasi inassume natin na ang natitirang pera na lang na kumpanya, 10,000. So technically speaking, 4 na araw kang walang pera. Kaya naman, kailangan mo mag-invest sa cash conversion, sorry. Kailangan mo mag-invest sa working capital to support your day-to-day operations. Kaya naman, the goal of every company is to shorten the cash conversion cycle. Sir, bakit kailangan paikli ng cash conversion cycle? Kasi kung iisipin mo, the lower the cash conversion cycle, the lower the investment in working capital there would be. Ano naman ang pakialam ko, sir? Bakit kailangan mas mababang investment sa working capital? Kung naalala mo kaninang discussion natin, pag nag-i-invest ka sa working capital o kapag nag-i-invest ka sa current assets, ano ang profit mo? What is your profitability? The profitability of the company is low unless as you compare it to your investment in non-current asset. Kaya nga as much as possible, huwag tayong sobra-sobrang mag-invest sa current asset kasi it will yield to a lower amount of profit. Kaya nga ang goal ng bawat kumpanya, paikliin ang cash conversion cycle. Kasi pag umikli yan, bababa ang investment mo sa working capital at yung pera mo pwede mong gamitin sa investment in non-current asset that will yield a higher amount of profit. And how can you shorten up? How can you decrease the cash conversion cycle? May dalawang paraan para mapababa yan. Number 1, pwede mong pababain ang days inventory or days AR kasi sa formula natin, pa-plus yung dalawang yan. Or, pwede namang pataasin mo ang days AP kasi sa formula ng cash conversion cycle, pa-minus yan. At kapag mas malaki ang binabawas mo, mas mababa yung lumalabas na total amount. Okay? So, let us apply what we have discussed regarding operating cycle and cash conversion cycle on our sample exercise. Okay, so let us read. Pikachu, a leading producer of Barbie dolls. Ay nako, sabi ko na Barbie. Turns out $3,000 a day at a cost of 250 pesos per doll for prime cost. I think we all know what is prime cost. Prime cost is direct material tuloy. Ano ko kumarte na joke lang, di pala nako, nanahimik yung tao. For prime cost is direct materials plus direct labor. Nabubulol na rin ako, mang inatal tuloy. It takes the firm 20 days to convert raw materials into Barbie dolls, and Pikachu allows its customers 25 days in which to pay for the dolls. And Pikachu pays its suppliers on a 15-day basis. Requirements, ang una, what is Pikachu's operating cycle and cash conversion cycle? And number 2, assuming that the production of dolls is steady, magkano ang kailangang i-invest ni Pikachu sa working capital? Okay, isa-isahin natin. Let us start first with requirement 1. Requirement 1 is operating cycle and cash conversion cycle. Okay. Number 1. How do we compute operating cycle? Operating cycle is days inventory plus days AR. Sir, saan galing yung 20 days? Kung babalikan natin kanina, yung exercise, sabi niya, it takes the firm 20 days to convert raw materials into Barbie dolls. Take note, raw materials ang yung raw materials and your Barbie dolls would be your finished goods. Take note, kapag manufacturing business ka, ang binibenta mo ay finished goods at hindi raw materials. So basically, it is already saleable 20 days after mo siyang bilhin. So that would be your days inventory. Next, days AR is the average collection period. Ang sabi ng problem, inaalaw mo raw magbayad ang customer mo ng 25 days. So kung 25 days mo sila inaalaw magbayad, sa point of view mo o sa side mo, 25 days ka rin bago makakolekta. So ibig sabihin, your days AR is 25 days. So 20 days plus 25 days, your operating cycle is 45 days. Next is cash conversion cycle. Mabilis na lang to. Kung titignan mo sa exercise natin, ang natitira na lang doon na days ay 15 days. So, your cash conversion cycle is operating cycle na 45 days minus 15 days na days AP. Your cash conversion cycle is 30 days. Okay, and by the way, para makasunod ka sa ating discussion pala, pwede mo muna i-post yung video and then i-screenshot mo yung exercise so that paglipat natin sa solution, makasunod ka sa ating discussion. Okay, so let us finish this sample exercise. Let us proceed to number 2. Ang tinatanong ng number 2, magkano ang kailangan kong i-invest sa working capital? And again, I'll repeat, ano ang basihan natin kung magkano ang i-invest sa working capital? The answer is the cash conversion cycle. At ilang days ang cash conversion cycle? Ilang araw ang kailangan mo pondohan? 30 days. Ngayon, ang tanong, magkano ba ang ginagastos mo araw-araw? So basically, araw-araw nakakapag-produce ka raw ng 3,000 DALs. At ang cost mo kada DAL ay, sinabi ng problem, 250 pesos. So 3,000 times 250 pesos, yan ang gastos mo araw-araw. Ilang araw yung pupondohan mo? Ang sabi natin, 30 days. So 3,000 times 250 times 30 days, your total investment in working capital is 22,500,000. Okay? So that will conclude our discussion regarding operating cycle and cash conversion cycle.